Okay, so we're gonna create a orthographic drawing and a model of the butt joint in Onshape. Now, the actual piece of wood that you use to build yours might be different than this drawing here, and that's fine. Just go off of this drawing. Okay, so you have the printouts as well. I will go back and forth and reference this. All right, so what you need to do is first open up Onshape, create a new document. Once you're in the new document, the first thing you're going to do is set some variables. So we're going to add the dimensions of the lumber first, so we can change that later if we need to. So I click to open up variables. On the right hand side, I click this variable table, this X in parentheses, I click this. Now I'm going to go in where it says name, I'm going to add the length. The variable type is length. In the value, I'm just going to type in 8. Enter. We're going to add the width below that. The width is 3.5. Enter. And the last one is thickness, and that is going to be 1.5. Enter. Now, what I just put in were the dimensions of our lumber. You can find that if you look at the dimension drawing. Right, I have the length is 8 inches, the thickness of each piece is 1.5 inches, right? And I forgot to document it on here. Oops. The actual width is not on here, but it is 3.5 inches. I didn't put that on this document. And that's what these dimensions are here. So what you can do now is close the variable table by clicking the X, and we can start drawing our parts. So the first thing we will do, we'll draw this side profile here. So I'll click the rectangle tool, I'll click sketch, select the plane, I'll click the front plane here, and on my keyboard, or if I click the front plane on the view cube, it will allow me to view on that plane. I can zoom out, navigate myself. Now I'll go up to the corner and I'll click corner rectangle up on the toolbar. From here, I'll just typically click this origin, click and drag, and don't worry about adding the dimensions yet, just click and drag a rectangle, enter twice. Now to break this command, you'll see my cursor is still in the rectangle command. I will hit escape to break that command. And now what I can do, if that doesn't work, just right click, escape. Now I can click these dimensions and I will double click them. What I will do is instead of typing in the dimension number, I will just type in, for example, the length. If I type in L, the variable will come up and it will say length 8 inches. Click that, hit enter. It will automatically change that to what I have my variable set at. Now I'm going to change the variable or the dimension of the width. Double click. I will change that to the width. So I type in W. You'll see it says width, hashtag width 3.5 inches. Enter. And I have my first part. My first sketch, all dimensioned. Hit the green check mark. I'm going to rotate just to show you. Now I can go up to the toolbar and click the extrude button to make this a 3D drawing. Click extrude. It's asking me the faces and the sketch regions to extrude, and I will click this sketch. Now, back over in this window, the depth here, we want the depth to be set to the variable of thickness. So I type in T, you'll see it says thickness 1.5 inches, and I can click enter, the green check mark, and I have my first part. Now we're going to draw the second part here. There's a few different ways to do this, and I'll show you one of the ways. So the first thing we'll do is I will click this surface here. I'm going to start on the end here. I'm going to click this surface and click sketch. And then what I will do is click N or click on the the view cube on the top right to the right view. The right side will bring me to this view. And I'm going to draw a rectangle. I'm going to click corner rectangle and just click, draw a rectangle. And remember, Onshape will snap to certain points, so you can lock in certain dimensions automatically. But I'll stretch this out. And the only dimension I need to change here is the length. So I'm going to right click, escape rectangle tool, double click this dimension here, type in L for length, enter, and it will adjust the length. You can see what I need to do now is extrude this sketch out. So I will accept this sketch. Up here, I'm going to click the extrude tool. Now I want to select this part of the sketch and this part of the sketch, and I will change the depth again to thickness. And remember, you're not adding up here on in the window here, you're not adding a part, you're creating a new part. So make sure this is selected. You'll see it will change the color to a different color. Click the green check mark. And now we have two separate parts that you can see on your feature tree as well. I have part 1 and part 2. So our butt joint essentially is created. Everything is dimensioned. Great. If I go to my variable table, this is why this is important. I could change this, right? Maybe I was using a 2x4 instead of a 2x3. Right? I could change this thickness to instead of 3.5, I could change this to 2.5, and it automatically changes everything for us. Now, next thing we're going to do is draw the dimensions for the circles here, the holes for the drills. So they come over 3/4 of an inch, and they're down or up, depending on which way you're dimensioning from, 5/8 of an inch. So we're going to dimension 1 and then mirror that. Okay, so back to our part. The first thing we'll do is create a new sketch on this piece, because this is the piece that essentially is getting drilled into this. So I click this face, click sketch, click the right plane or N on your keyboard. Now, the first thing I will do is click the line command, and I'm going to change this to a construction line. This is just a reference line. And we're going to hover over on this end here, and you'll hover over until it'll stop at the midpoint. Click, and then just drag this, holding shift or just having it make sure it locks parallel. That's just our center line as a reference. And then hit escape on your keyboard to break the command, or right click escape line. Now, what we're going to do is add a point. So you see up on the, while you're in the sketch, you'll see the point command. If I click this, click 1, I'm just going to drop it up here. Now, this dimension is going to be this dimension here. So we're 3/4 of an inches over from center and 5/8 down. So I will click the dimension tool, D on the keyboard, this icon up here. I'm going to dimension from, I'm going to click this line, then I'm going to click the point, click, and type in 0.75 or 3/4, enter. And there's my dimension. Hit escape to break the command. Now we're 5/8 inches down, so I click dimension again, click here, top line, and click the point, drag my dimension over, type in 5/8, enter, and I have my line, my point, sorry. Now we're going to put the same thing on the bottom. So I can go through that same process, but it's easier to mirror this. So if I click the mirror command up here, click that button, select the mirror line. It's going to be this reference line. Select entities to be mirrored. It's this point. And you'll see I have a second point down here. So we have 2 points, and those are going to be a drill holes that go through here. Okay, so now we're going to create, there's a whole command in here. So up on you accept that sketch, and then if you look up here, there is a whole command that allows us to do preset dimensions, and we can create holes pretty easily. So up here, you'll see the hole icon. Looks like a cube with a square, cube with a hole through it. I click this. It's going to ask for some settings. The first thing I'm going to do is click on the areas that I want to put the hole. The next thing is we're going to have to add some dimensions here. So if you look at our drawing, we have a countersink or counter bore that's a 1/4 inch down. The pilot hole is 1/8 inch thick. And if I look up here, I don't know if I dimensioned that, but the countersink itself is a 1/4 inch wide. So just follow along on here. You'll be able to see what I do here. So we have a counter bore. Make sure if this is not set this to a counter bore. Start from part, blind. The thickness of that pilot hole is 1/8 inch. The counter bore is 0.25, a 1/4 inch. It's a 1/4 inch down, and we're going to go in 1.75 inches in depth. It will ask you what are the points that you want to put the holes in. I already selected that. So if that's not selected, these are not filled, select this and make sure you click the placement where you want to put the holes. And then we'll ask you the merge scope. Make sure you select part 1 and part 2. You want these to go all the way through both pieces. If this is not selected, right, make sure you click part 1 and part 2. And you will see, it will preview the hole so you can kind of zoom in and see how it created the countersinks. You can't see here, but if I was to hide one of these parts, you'd be able to see the pre-drill goes through into the second piece. Once you have that, hit the green check mark and your model is finished. We're not going to add the screws, just the holes. So there's our 3D model of the butt joint with the pilot holes and the counter bores here.